Good morning, everybody. Here we are, another wonderful opportunity God's blessed us with to be in His Word and get our dose of it to get our day kicked off in the right direction. This morning, I want to look at something that Paul writes to Timothy over in 1 Timothy chapter 2. He writes in this and begins in this context, and it's a context that, for myself, I have a real difficult time trying to reconcile and understand why people can't understand this. It's not real complicated, and what he's going to be talking about is women preachers. I mean, we see out in the world, we the Joyce Meyers, and all kinds of women pastors and preachers and all this other kind of stuff. Maybe someone can help me out. Maybe one of you women that may be in this situation, maybe you can explain this to me, that where somehow the Bible authorizes women to be in those particular roles. Paul writes 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 11. He says, "Let a woman learn in silence with all submission. And I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over a man, but to be in silence." Now, we'll just stop right there. A lot of people, well, Paul's just a chauvinist. He just doesn't like women. He just wants to keep women down. Not at all. There were women that helped him and worked with him, and he elevated those women. But we need to understand it. Paul talks about also in 1 Corinthians chapter 11 about the order of things. In the beginning of 1 Corinthians chapter 11, he talks about God is the head of Christ, and Christ is the head of man. Man is the head of woman. But he also said over in Galatians chapter 3 is that there's neither barbarian or Scythian or Greek, male or female. So we have to keep these things in context. Now, there's a reason why Paul said this. And it goes back to the order that God has ordained and established. Think about this. Paul is just simply reminding us that there's an order, and we need to respect that. Just like, can men supersede Christ? Well, people say, well, no. Well, it's the same principle. It's the same point. And we're talking about what he's talking about here. God has given each and every one of us certain roles and places we must keep. We can read over when Peter wrote about how angels did not keep their proper domain. That means they didn't stay where God had put them, and he cast them out. So when Paul says let a woman learn in silence with all submission, that doesn't mean sit there with tape on their mouth, so to speak, and in a corner. It's not what he's talking about at all. And he said, what he's talking about, I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over a man, but to be in silence. That doesn't mean they can't say something, right? But that also does not mean they cannot fill the pulpit either. They cannot lead in teaching Bible classes when there's men involved, is sitting in with that. He says, I don't give women permission to do that. I think that's a better way to look at it instead of I don't permit a woman. If we have an issue with what Paul was teaching here, maybe we are the issue. Just something to think about. Maybe I've got a problem. If I don't like what Paul says here, maybe I'm the one with the problem, not Paul. Maybe I'm the one with the problem, that I just don't want to submit to God and what his word says. Maybe I'm the one with the problem, that I don't want to stay within that realm or that role that God has. But it'll be the same thing true for a man. Well, I just don't like it. I want to be over Christ. Can't do that. No matter how much I want, no matter if I have somebody telling me that you can do that. Can't do that. Just like the angels that did not keep their proper place. But notice what he says. And here's why. For Adam was formed first, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived fell into transgression. So, folks don't like especially women in the religious world, they don't like this. They don't like this at all. And I've got friends, I know people that are doing it just the opposite of what Paul says here. And if you see yourself as a woman pastor, a woman bishop, or whatever it is that you work on, hey, reach out to me and help me understand, because this seems awful simple to me. It doesn't sound chauvinistic. It doesn't sound woman hater or anything like that. Paul gives a reason, because a woman was deceived, and then the woman deceived the man. Like it or not, that's what it says. And I'm not saying all women are deceptive, but Paul gives us a reason here. And I don't think Paul's saying that all women are deceptive. I don't think he's saying Phoebe was deceptive. Dorcas was deceived. Tychicus and those ladies. I don't think he's saying that, implying that they were deceptive, not in any way, shape, or form. But here's the order that God has established of how teaching is supposed to be done in the church. Now, we go back to Adam and Eve, and we can read where they understood very easily what the commandment was. Men and women think differently. A lot of times, women think with their emotions. Men, sometimes, I'm just thinking as a general rule here, right? Think a little bit more level-headed. You see, and I think we see that to be true in the garden when the serpent came and said, "Oh no, that's not. Yeah, that's the words he said, but that's not what he meant." And then he began to appeal to her emotions. It was pleasing to the eye. It was good for food. It would make. Oh, well, here's all these reasons. You see? Oh yeah, those are the words that God used, but that's not what he meant. A lot of times, I believe that's the essence of what Paul's saying. And again, I'm not saying that all women are. I know some very level-headed women, but it doesn't change the fact of what God's Word says. And to throw this aside, and other passages as well, about the role of women in the church, and wanting to supersede that, wanting to do what they want. Let me just, in the most kindest way that I know how, stop and think about it. Is it about you, or is it about God? Do you get upset maybe when someone challenges you about the role in light of what the Scriptures actually say? Maybe you have the problem with the Scriptures. Just something to think about. Something to think about. There's your dose of God's Word today. I hope we'll do you some good. Hope we'll do us all some good. And again, if I'm off my rocker on this, if I'm way out in left field, by all means, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Enlighten me. Help me to understand if I am misunderstanding the simplicity of Paul's word here in 1 Timothy chapter 2. Hey, hope you all have a great day. Lord willing, tomorrow we'll get back and we get us another dose of God's Word. We'll see you then.